Hi, my name is Shelby and I am adopted from South Korea. I am 36 years old, and growing up and into my adulthood, I was never aware of my family health history. On April 13th, 2020, amidst this global pandemic, I found out that I had breast cancer. And 2 days later, I discovered it was stage 3. Before I found out that I had stage 3 breast cancer, I was already pretty stressed. I had lost my job, or it had gone dark. It was a freelance job on a TV show after only 4 days of starting it. And then that shut down because of COVID-19. And then also, as an adoptee and a transracial adoptee, I'm very plugged in on all of these social media groups on Facebook. And there was just all of these articles and stories about Asian Americans being discriminated against. And so there was one day that I was scared to go outside because I feared that I could be physically hurt. So I was already just stressed out and afraid, as everyone else is, we're all just affected by this global pandemic. And so then to add on this new diagnosis that came out of nowhere was a complete shock, has been incredibly hard to navigate. When I first noticed that there was a lump in my right breast, I immediately tried to find a gynecologist. But because of the coronavirus, no one where I am in New Jersey was taking new patients. And they told me that I needed to contact my gynecologist down in Florida, where I live, to see if she could write a prescription for a mammogram and an ultrasound. And so I did, and she was able to write a prescription that was faxed over to a breast center here in New Jersey, and within a few days I got my first ultrasound and mammogram. The mammogram was painful. I had never done that before. Every year since I have gone to the gyno, I've always been clear for any kind of lumps. And so this was all a shock. It felt like it was overnight that this lump appeared. Tell me what emotions are going through your head when you first found out that I had a lump.
Denial. Was hoping it was just something benign and we can just, get it excised or taken out and be done with it.
Most patients have screen detected mammograms, so we routinely ask women over the age of 40 to have screening mammograms done every year or every 2 years, depending it changes based on guidelines. And most of our patients have screen detected mammograms based on their abnormal mammogram findings. But in younger women, especially in women under the age of 40, there is no recommendation for routine mammograms. So most of these patients present with a palpable breast mass. They may notice some skin findings, nipple discharge, it could be bloody or clear, pain in their breast. So those are some of the common symptoms or signs that our younger women present with when they have breast cancer.
When the doctor came to talk to me after the ultrasound and mammogram, she seemed very concerned because of the size of the lump. And she said that she didn't want to scare me, but there was a possibility it could be cancer. And so she recommended a biopsy, which I ended up getting a couple days later. On my drive home after the ultrasound and mammogram, I remember starting to cry, and I must have been driving probably 10 miles below the speed limit, and I almost ran a red light. It was like in the movies when someone's told that they have a terminal illness, and everything just sort of just drifted to the wayside, and everything was in slow motion, and all I could focus on was the words, "It could be cancer." I got the biopsy, which was painful, and I completely forgot that I also had an enlarged lymph node under my right arm. So they actually had to do 2 biopsies. I remember feeling really dizzy and almost fainted, and the nurse that actually runs a support group for women who have survived breast cancer, she was very warm, and she made sure that I was okay. I think that's one of the things that I've experienced so far is the warmth and the kindness from the people that I've met as I go to these different appointments and scans and tests. I don't think I could have done it without that kind of warmth and kindness. I got the call from my nurse. It was a call that really changed my life. She said it was cancer, and I remember just bursting into tears, and then I called my mom to tell her. She cried. And when I got home, I called my dad and my brother. And that's been one of the hardest things, is for me to talk to all of my close family members and close friends, like on the phone or on a video call. Because whenever they start crying, then I start crying, and I can't handle that. So it's been mostly communicating through text for me right now, and through email. And I've created a Google Calendar where I invite all of my immediate family members to, just so they know, like when I'm going on different doctor's appointments and tests and scans. When I had the mammogram and ultrasound and the results from that, what did you think?
Still hoping. Basically, it wasn't until a biopsy and they confirmed that it was cancer. Mm-hmm. I was just kind of, well, crap. Mm-hmm. I don't know, just trying to push it all down and be strong, because you're the one that has the right to have the breakdown.
You can have a breakdown too.
No, I have to wait for you to be done.
Oh, that'll take a while.
Yeah.
Like 8 months.
Yeah, I could wait 8 months.
One of the first things I felt when I found out that I had cancer was I felt really bad that my husband had married someone who had no record of her family health history and that ended up getting cancer. So within the span of 1 week, I found out that I had cancer. 2 days later, I found out it was stage 3 cancer. And then a couple days after that, I met with my oncologist, and she sort of laid out the plan of treatment. Because of the size of the lump, I would have to go through chemo first, and then after that surgery, and then probably radiation therapy and hormonal therapy. And then she recommended that I get tested for any mutated genes like BRCA1, BRCA2 to see if that runs in my family, since I have no idea as an adoptee without any knowledge of my family medical history. And of course, chemo will affect my fertility, and my husband and I had been trying to have our first kid, and then this happened, and so it was recommended that we go through fertility treatments. What has been your approach? Because you and I are a good fit in that I can be very emotional, but you're more practical and logical, but it's a good balance. But I think I've actually been pretty good. Like, I haven't had a breakdown. Not, at least not in front of you. Maybe by myself. But, I guess advice for other people like you, like the kind of person you are and your personality. Go from point A to B to C. There's many points in my process.
Just find the silver lining, find the distraction, find the hope and focus on that. Like I was telling someone at work today, it's working on our fertility treatments. And for whatever reason, we haven't been able to have a baby yet, but we got very, very promising news with our fertility treatments. And just the price tag on that alone is not something we could have been able to afford. But amazing organizations like Livestrong have provided grants and help.
Heartbeat.
And
Chick Mission.
They've basically saved us and made it possible for us to have a child.
Thank you for what you do for helping women that are going through cancer and possibly going to lose their fertility after chemo, and giving them that chance to still have children later on. Within the past month, I have met with a breast specialist, an oncologist, a geneticist counselor, a fertility specialist. I have gotten an MRI, a bone scan, a CT, tons of blood work done, ultrasounds. It's all going by so fast, and it's been very, very stressful going to most of these locations all on my own. A few times my husband has been able to at least drive me on his days off at work. I think one of the hardest things right now because of this global pandemic is my family can't visit me, my friends can't visit me. I can't get any hugs from them. That's really hard to be separated like this and only to be connected through video calls and text and email and phone calls. Hey, hi Celeste.
Hi, Aunt Shelby. Look, more people.
Oh my gosh, hello sweetie. Hi.
She's a baby. Did this by now. That's the only way you see people.
Oh my goodness.
How you doing otherwise?
Oh, I don't know. I've been like up and down, like yo-yo with my emotions. And then Friday I met with an oncologist, And that was really emotional for me because the nurse that's probably going to administer my chemo when I start that, probably mid-May, hopefully a little bit earlier than that, she walked me around the chemo area, and it was just emotional for me because, like, I can't bring anyone with me, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. I just can't believe I have cancer. It was so hard for me to say it out loud.
Of course. I mean, like, even with you saying it, I'm still, like, in shock as well. Like, I just couldn't process it at first. Like, I didn't even know what to say. It was like, what? Like,
Yeah.
it can't happen, you know? You're only, you know, you're young, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. But, you know, I'm still hopeful, and I've been praying for you. We both have.
Oh, thank you.
You know, your treatment journey starts off, you know, aggressively, and they're able to do what they need to do. So you have your surgery, and this can be something in the past. Like,
yeah.
I believe that it will be. But I'm just so sorry that you're going through this, like, point of uncertainty right now. You know, I know it's scary.
Hi, Joey.
Hey, Shelby. Oh my gosh, your hair's getting so long. I love it.
I know, and then it's gonna go bye-bye.
Oh, is that your COVID hair? You just growing it out?
Oh, yeah. Well, Travis won't trim it, and he won't let me touch his hair either. I said, are you gonna let me try and give you a haircut? And he's like, that is the word, try. No, you are not trying anything with my hair.
Hey, Shelby, just wanted to tell you, I know you're going through a lot, so, you know, we're praying for you, and hey,
Thank
you
you.
have our full support. Whatever you need, we're always there for you guys.
Thank you.
Just want you to know that.
Thank you. Right now I'm calling the fertility clinic because they have to ask me questions to make sure I don't have any COVID-19 symptoms, and then they'll let me into the building.
You have reached the check-in line for the Clark location at the Institute for Reproductive Medicine and Science. Thank you for notifying us of your arrival. You'll receive a text message shortly to begin your check-in process.
It's another one of the difficult things is having to wear masks everywhere outside. You can't see anyone's faces. One of the things that I've been having to experience as I go to these different appointments is I usually have to call before I walk in and wait in the car, and they'll text me all of these questions like, have you been in contact with anyone with the virus? Do you have a fever? Do you have a dry cough? And then, of course, I answer no because I have none of the symptoms. And then they tell me when I can come in, and you have to wear a mask. And they usually always check your temperature to make sure that you don't have a fever.
COVID-19 is definitely stressful. It's not something that we expected to face in our current reality. Obviously, it's harder for our patients who are undergoing chemotherapy because patients who are undergoing chemotherapy have a lower immune system. So they're at a higher risk for contracting the virus if they're not careful. So especially with COVID-19 and the surge in the hospitals, some of our breast cancer surgeries have been delayed. So medical oncologists have been seeing some of the patients who would need surgery, and we've been starting them on treatment while we're waiting for their surgeries to be scheduled. We're also making decisions whether chemotherapy is the best option in certain cases, because chemotherapy suppresses the immune system, and we don't want our patients to contract COVID-19. So in certain situations, we've been doing additional tests and trying to see if we can switch them to some sort of oral therapy or endocrine therapy while going through COVID-19, and closely monitoring these patients just to make sure that their cancer is not progressing. We are also cautioning our patients about staying home and definitely being more careful than the general population with regards to contracting this virus, frequent hand washing, using masks when they go outside. We've also given patients the option to test for COVID-19 prior to every cycle of chemotherapy. patients going through surgery are being tested prior to surgery as well. So it's a lot of different steps that are being added. Definitely makes things longer, more stressful for both the patients and their providers. So, but we're trying to cope with it.
Working under the COVID-19 situation has definitely been strange, but we have gotten used to it. It's like a new normal for us. As nurses, we are exposed to many infections, infectious agents, viruses, bacteria, but with COVID-19, it's more a fear of giving it to somebody else who might be immunocompromised or taking it back home, where you have completely people who are not exposed, but then they're exposed through you. So it's the fear of being the carrier to people who are otherwise healthy. But you still have to forge ahead because it's just a bump in the road and you still have to keep moving ahead. The COVID will come and go, but the cancer is there and we have to deal with it.
Before COVID-19, we would definitely encourage family members to come with their loved ones while they're going through chemotherapy. Obviously, with the COVID-19, that is not possible because of the restricted visitor policy.
So it really makes you feel like you're going through it alone a lot of the times, and that's very hard. And I know that I have a wonderful support group. My husband is amazing, and we have our dog here with us, and I know how much my parents love me, and my mother-in-law, and my brother and stepmom, my mom's boyfriend, and I have wonderful friends that are here for me. So I have a great support group. I also just got my port insert taken care of, and I didn't know how painful it was going to be afterwards. They made it seem like such a simple procedure, which it is a simple procedure for them to do. It only takes about an hour, but it's been like 4 days since I got it, and I'm still in a lot of pain. I can barely sleep. Each day, the color of my skin around and on top of this port changes colors, but my husband tells me that's just it bruising and healing, so it's not infected, which is what I'm fearing, or it's what I fear, is that it'll get infected and they'll have to go back in there. But basically the port insert is the delivery system for the chemo. I was connected to another young female who was diagnosed with breast cancer through a childhood friend who is an oncologist. But this young lady had been diagnosed prior to when everything was shutting down due to the coronavirus, and she was already in a few weeks into her chemo treatment. And she told me about cold caps, which is supposed to help you so you don't lose your hair during chemo. And I thought, oh, that sounds great. That would be wonderful if I don't have to lose my hair. And so I was researching all of that, and I asked my nurse if that was something that I could also do. And this was through email. I was asking her these questions, and so she called me later that day. And she told me that because I had stage 3 breast cancer, the chemo would be more aggressive, and most likely the cold caps wouldn't work. And also because it's complicated, so usually there's someone there to help with setting that all up. Because of the coronavirus, the people or company that they work with wasn't taking on any new patients. So once again, due to the coronavirus, I wasn't able to I wouldn't be able to get any help with that anyways. Plus, it probably wouldn't be effective because of the chemo treatment that I'm going to get. And I remember when I found that out that I wouldn't be able to try and save my hair. I just broke down. So every day is different. Sometimes I break down. Sometimes I forget that I have cancer because I don't have any other signs. I don't feel tired. I don't have any other major pains in my body somewhere else. So yeah, it is up and down for sure. One of the good things is that my test results for my bone scan, CT, and MRI came back clear as far as cancer not having spread throughout my body. So it's still stage 3. So that was just, good news. Try and take good news where I can. What are some of the things that like your loved ones tell you that make you feel better or worse or don't help at all?
Just the generic, we're here if you need anything, it's kind of nihilistic, but just kind of that sucks, I'm sorry attitude is really the most helpful. Mm-hmm. Especially with all this stuff and all the stuff about, healthcare heroes out there in the public and in the media that seems hollow because they're not really doing anything but words. Mm-hmm. I know everyone means well, but when they're like, people are just saying, I'm so sorry, and all that stuff, it doesn't really feel helpful. It feels kind of patronizing and almost empty. So when people just acknowledge how bad it is and say, we're here for you, I'm sorry, just leave it at that. That's the most helpful. Mm-hmm. Kind of like how Cuomo's doing, the governor of New York is doing in his press conferences. Just, it's awful, but we'll get through it. And that's kind of the attitude I have to take to get through.
Mm-hmm. So I would say, at least for my personality, I know that studies have shown that having a positive attitude leads to a much better outcome for people with cancer or anyone with a terrible illness. But right now, because I am going through just coordinating all of these doctor's appointments and scans and tests and going to them by myself most of the time, I'm just trying to I'm trying not to get too deep into my emotions, because if I do tap into that, I will break down and I will not be able to do anything. So when people, tend to ask me how I am, or, keep up a positive outlook, or sending positive vibes, that kind of thing, or telling me everything's gonna be fine, it's sort of like a trigger for me, because I'm not fine. I won't be fine for a long time. What I'm going through is so much. And I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying to get through this. And I don't know where that fits right now, because I'm taking everything day by day. And there are moments when I'm fine and I feel happy. Those are the times when I forget that I have cancer. When I don't focus on it. But I'm not going to be fine for a while. And if I do carry one of the cancer genes, or the genes that can mutate into cancer, then I'll have to get my ovaries removed, because the likelihood of getting ovarian cancer after breast cancer is pretty much, it'll happen in your late 40s. So it's a long road ahead for both my husband and I. But I am doing everything I can because I definitely want to live, and I want to live a healthy life. And I know that I'm going to get through this. So that to me is where my headspace is to get through this, for sure. It helps to stay busy at work, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All the people I work with being very supportive. Mm-hmm. They all shuffled off to other units and did hard jobs so it could help justify me staying in the lab. Yeah, so we're in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, and they've all but canceled all the cases in the cardiac cath lab. So people can either be sent home or they can go work in the ER, where it's some of the worst it is in the country. It's the most horrifying, terrible things people have seen in the hospital happening right here in this area. Or go into units where people are just on ventilators all day and gasping for breath. They've chosen to work and do other stuff so I can stay and keep the job and keep insurance to help keep you safe and healthy.
I'm very grateful.
And of course, you. And you're staying strong too.
Yes.
As best as you can.
Yeah. My husband, Travis, works in the hospital as a cath tech, and he told me that someone he works with also went through what I'm going through in her mid to late 30s. And he asked, do you want to connect with her? And I started crying. I'm just not ready actually to talk to someone who's actually gone through what I'm going to go through. It just makes it all too real. I'm more of, I have this plan and the dates of when everything's gonna happen, and that's kind of how I work. I don't know if it's my personality or how I operate, but a lot of times I don't want to know how other people got through it because I know that I'm different than a lot of people. Because I don't want to get disappointed in myself if I'm not at a point where someone else was. Because then that'll just frustrate me and make me feel that I'm not doing as well as others, whatever stage that I'm at in my treatment. So I think that's kind of where my head is at right now, is I know that support groups are important, and talking one-on-one with people who have been what you've been through. As I'm in a ton of adoption support groups, so I know the value in that. But for me right now, this is all still so new that I'm just not ready for that. But I hope that when I am, I'll be able to share that with all of you. Can you describe your personality and how you are go from point A to B to C, and that's how it makes it easier for you to cope?
So I guess in terms of coping, just because I'm just so process driven and working in medicine, I'm very much go from point A to point B to point C. Like whatever the next step is, get it done, get the results, and figure out what to do from there. I mean, it's okay to sit and think and wonder about what to do, but with things like this, there's usually a good game plan that you have to follow, and just gives us clear steps on what to do and what to focus on to get through it.
One of the things that I'm doing right now to help cope, since I'm not getting too much into my emotions because I've been having to keep it together to get through all of these tests and scans and doctor's appointments and getting blood work done and all of that, is I journal. I journal a ton, and that's kind of how it helps process everything that happens each day, and then I'll look on it later. Within the span of 1 week, I found out some very devastating news, and it was very hard for me to process. I had a telehealth meeting with my oncologist, and before I had thought my chemo was going to be 3 months, and then I was going to have surgery, and then maybe radiation therapy. That wasn't a definite yet. And then hormonal therapy for 10 years, which I could pause after 3 years and have children, or try and have children. And that seemed, that plan seemed to be okay. Like, for me, I accepted that, the 3 weeks up until that point, that's kind of what I thought it was gonna be. Well, this is really hard because it's gonna be 20 weeks of chemo. So it's gonna be like almost 5 months. And then I have 4 to 6 weeks to let my immune system go back up, and then I can have surgery. And then I don't know how long that will be, but then after that I have radiation therapy, and that will be 4 to 6 weeks, and then the hormonal therapy. So it's gonna take 6 to 8 months, because I don't know how long it'll take to recover after the surgery and what reconstruction is gonna be, because there's so many unknowns. We don't know if I'm gonna just have a double mastectomy. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So I'm just I just don't want to go through this again either. Another thing that's kind of scary is that this chemotherapy that I have to undergo, she's consulted with 4 other oncologists, and they all agree this is the best treatment plan. She said that there's a 1% chance I could get blood cancer, like leukemia or something. Oh, and then also it's 5 years until the hormonal therapy. So I'll be 43 when I can try and have a baby. So yeah, everything, it was before is 3 months of chemo, and then it went up to 5 months, and then it was 3 years before I could pause the hormonal stuff, and now it's 5 years. I feel like it's just gonna never end. It's really long. This whole process.
It will end. Jeez Louise. Have you told Travis?
No. I have to text it to him because he's at work, so.
I don't understand, Shelby. I don't understand why you should get it this bad.
Yeah, if you can tell Dad and Garrett, I just can't do it again right now. And I'm gonna have to tell Travis again when he comes home.
Alright, I'll tell everybody. I'm so sorry, Shel. Well, I'll tell them all this, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Okay.
Very sorry.
I love you, Mama.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
As far as, as soon as someone is diagnosed with cancer, it's a big deal, and I think everybody deals with it in a separate way, in a different way, because it's a very personal story for everyone. So as a nurse, having cared for patients all this time, I think acceptance of the diagnosis plays a huge part. And how you get to that part is, again, it's a very personal journey. But once you accept it, then you know that the only way to move is forward. And then you know that there is a plan. You have a whole team taking care of you. You have to trust them, be informed, pay attention to what they're telling you, and find out reasons as to why they're doing something. So it increases compliance. You stick to the protocol, and along the way, people will want to help you. And I would advise people to take their help, because if you were in your friend's shoes or your family's shoes, you would want to help that person too. So accept help, and hope for the best.
What has been the most difficult part of this journey so far?
Probably just accepting it.
Have you accepted it yet?
Yeah, I mean, I have to. It's reality. It's what's happening. It's, I guess, being in medicine and working with that, it's dealing with a lot of absolutes, and when things happen, they happen, and it's having to deal with it.
I'm just in shock still. Like, I accept it. I've accepted it. This is my path. This is my treatment.
I think that, you don't have to sort of feel like, well, I accepted it, and then the acceptance might have to sort of re-happen as you go on. Like you said, you sort of accepted it, and then, there were changes to the plan that you didn't expect, and then you have to re-accept it, I guess the hope is just sort of as time goes by, it comes back less like grief, like they say about grief is like that too, when you...
Yeah, I think my whole mindset is I want to do everything I'm supposed to, eat healthy, and just get through it, and try not to be too depressed or have too much self-pity. I mean, I feel like I'm going to live. I think my greatest fear is the cancer just comes back, and then it's too late, in my later years. So that's my fear. I mean, I feel like I'll get through this, but later on in life, since I've just already had it, just the chances of it coming back is so much more higher. So
I feel you'll get through this too, and like I said, I really hope it does not come back. But I also want to say that if it does come back, it's not going to come back for you. It's going to come back for the you that got through this the first time and is stronger and wiser, and the way that we all are as we grow. So I think you should also have faith in yourself that you can handle this now, and whatever happens in the future, that future you can handle as well, because that future you went through this already.
Yeah. Yeah, this is why it's so hard to talk to people, because I just cry.
That's okay.
Texting, I'm okay, I'm not as emotional, it's just typing words. On May 7th, which is a Thursday, I got a call from my geneticist counselor, and she told me the results of my tests, and it floored me. I found out that I had a mutation in a gene called BRCA2, and that is hereditary. So I, of course, immediately started crying because I think I just had hoped that this was all just a fluke, that I got this cancer, because now knowing that it's hereditary, made me rethink everything that I had done, like choice-wise as a young adult. When I got my 23andMe, I, was just searching for more connections with possible biological relatives. I wasn't really thinking of family health history and that kind of importance. I mean, you don't think about that when, for most of your life, growing up as a child and young adult, like you're very healthy. You don't think about long-term things that could come up that could be life-threatening, rare diseases that are passed down. So I thought, why didn't I think of trying to do this overall just test to see if I did carry anything like that? Because then I may have caught this earlier before it hit stage 3. So how have you been? How are your videos going? I've caught up to all of them now.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. They're good. I shot 4 yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to shoot 5, but it didn't. Yeah, kids got home, so I tried to shoot as many as I could. But it's exciting. The Victory Garden series, it's showing up in search terms now.
Mm-hmm.
So, like when people just search for Victory Garden, like that one shows up. I'm trying to get more videos out there that people find. And I got some really good feedback. It was really, really nice, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Someone wrote something like, there are a lot of gardening channels out there that have good information, but yours just makes it really simple. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hey.
Nice.
How are your adoptions? Have you posted any new ones? I didn't think so.
I posted the winners of the book giveaway May 1st. So, yeah. And then before that, I had posted the 3 videos of interviews from 2013 when I went to the Korean Adoptee event. And those did fairly well. Okay.
Right.
So I'm going to update you with what happened this week. It was a lot. Thursday, this is very recent. So when I heard from my geneticist counselor, and she told me that I had the BRCA2 mutation. So have you heard of the BRCA1, BRCA2? So those are one of the most well-known leading causes of breast cancer in women. We all have that, but it's mutated. So it's a big factor. I think it is like, I'll have to look this up, but I think it's 40 to 65% likely that women will get breast cancer if they have one of those. And then, yeah, so that's hereditary. That's passed down through family members from your father or mother. I think it was the first time when I found out that I had the BRCA2, like where I started to feel angry, because I haven't allowed myself to feel angry. You know the whole mindset of why is this happening to me? It's so unfair. Life is so unfair. I haven't really gone through those emotions yet. I like to skip those if I can, because it's too emotional, and it doesn't do any good because it doesn't change anything. So I thought of it more as like, there is a certain percentage of women that get breast cancer and young women that do, and I just happen to fall into that category. I'm not the only one. So I was trying to do, I guess, more of like a logical look at everything, or oh, this is kind of funny. I've been visualizing that the tumor has shrunk every night, and then I also fall asleep to ocean waves because music does not seem to relax me. I know everyone is telling me these ideas like to relax me, like light candles, listen to music, go on a walk. I'm like, I'm not gonna go on a walk right now. I can't get this virus. It would kill me. Especially when I'm on chemo. I only walk if I have to take my dog out. And even then, it's like I try and run away from anyone that comes close to me.
Yeah.
But Travis, last night, he had a nightmare about waves crashing over into where he was working, like through the windows. And I'm like thinking, oh, it's probably my ocean waves that I have on really loudly. Like, they're nightmarish for you, but they're calming for me. That's how opposite we are. It's either I'm laughing or I'm crying, because I've cried too much this week. I can't even like cry that much now.
Okay, well, good. We'll laugh a little.
It's ridiculous. So I hope I wasn't too emotional.
What? You were laughing most of the time. I feel like that, like, I was prepared for like at least a half hour cry.
Oh, I did most of my tears this week. Like, my body can't physically cry like I did this week. What did it feel like when you found out about that I had the BRCA2 mutated gene?
I mean, it's kind of sad acknowledgement just because you already have the cancer. So I was just, not that it justifies it, but it just kind of helps acknowledge it and helps explain it. It's bad genetic for passing on, but the damage and the danger of having the gene has kind of already happened. So
when I found out that I carried this gene, mutated gene that is passed down through family members, again, this is why adoption is a lifelong journey, because you get triggered by things that you would never anticipate, and things you could anticipate, but it just literally knocked the wind out of me. But if anything, what this experience so far has taught me is the importance of knowing your family health history. And as adoptees are fighting for their original birth certificates, we need to also be fighting for open health records, family health records that are updated as new things come to light. I would encourage adoptees who do not have family medical history or family health history to consider doing a genetics test in your early 20s. It doesn't hurt to find out if there's something that you're carrying that could hit you like in your mid-30s and knocks the wind out of you. And also you can do preventative care, possibly, or at least early screening that can possibly catch it before, or at least in early stages. I just want to say a huge thank you to all of the people that have really helped me walk through my journey so far. The nurses and doctors have been so nice to me and warm and kind and empathetic. I wouldn't have been able to do this without them, because a lot of the times I'm going to all of these things on my own. So I'm so grateful for all of that, because I know everyone is going through a lot right now. The reason why I decided to share my story on camera about my breast cancer journey is because it's a huge part of who I am. It's my passion to spread awareness and education about things that have lifelong effects on people and their loved ones. So I began that journey first with adoption. And I first told my story on camera about being adopted when I was 17. And it was a very healing experience, and it was very different than just telling someone in person, a close friend or a family member or a therapist. Then this came up. And the minute that I found out, or the moment that I found out that I may have cancer, I thought, this is probably something I'll share about, because not only just to bring awareness about breast cancer in young women and men, but also there has to be other people going through what I'm going through right now during this pandemic. I know I'm not the only one, and this makes it even that much harder to get through when you can't even be around your loved ones. Just my personal experience with finding out about the fact that my breast cancer, the reason why this is happening to me is hereditary. It really opens my eyes to the dangers of not knowing your family health history. And as an adoptee, as an advocate for open adoption, I now really look at everything very differently. The importance of knowing one's family health history can be life-saving and life-changing, and that is something that we have to fight for. We talk about giving a better life for a child, to give them a loving home, but that also includes not just their mental health, emotional health, but their physical health. And part of that is being open about family health records. I'm not saying that this is something that adoptees should do, but I am encouraging, if you have no knowledge of your family health history as a young adult, to get a screening done or a test done of your genetics, to screen or to discover if you have anything that you carry of a rare disease. It's vital and important to know because of early screening, early testing that can be done to either prevent or catch it before it becomes life-threatening.
Love you. Navi.
Navi, come here.
You can join us.
Come join us.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Come up.
Come on. Oh, he's a good girl.
Oh my god, lipstick on.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh. Get it off of her. That's terrible. Ooh.